today's class, I am going to continue the previous lesson, The Brave Potter. This is from the chapter Wit and Humor. This lesson was written by Margaret Sheik. In the previous class, we discussed about what did the tiger think the mysterious creature was, and why did he allow himself bound around the neck with a thick rope, and who is this mysterious creature, and what is that leak? We can see in today's class. Let's get into the lesson, the next part of the Brave Potter. On the afternoon of the day a potter had arrived home after a hard day's work, he was tired and thirsty. He had asked his wife for some palm wine. Palm wine means an alcoholic drink made from palm tree. The more he drank, the better he felt. When he had drunk all the wine, he no longer felt tired. When the storm began, storm means heavy rain with strong winds, the potter suddenly remembered that he had left his donkey tied under a tree. He rushed out of his hut to take the animal into the stable. Here, the potter left which animal? Donkey. And where did he go in order to find out? In search of the donkey. What happened? We will see now. You can imagine his anger when he discovered that the donkey was not there anymore. He did not find. What was the state of the potter? He was in drunken state. So, in drunken state, the people cannot identify the things clearly. So, here, what happened to the potter in the forest? We'll see. The only thing left was its chain. So, he left the chain of the donkey. My stupid donkey must have run off into the forest. Run off means escaped. He grumbled. Who grumbled? The potter. Grumbled means complain. Complain in a bad tempered manner. The potter complained about his donkey, that he escaped. The donkey escaped in the forest. When I catch him, I'll give him a good beating. So, the potter had taken a decision that he want to give a nice beating to the donkey. He wanted to give a nice punishment to the donkey because the donkey escaped from him. He thought like that. But what is the mistake? The potter, he himself left the donkey. He left the chain of the donkey. The potter walked through the wet forest. Why the forest was so wet? Because of heavy rain. That was the night time. When it became dark, he often stumbled. Stumble means hit your foot against something and almost fall. Especially in the dark situations, darkness. When we hit anything, almost we fall. So here, when the potter, it became dark, he often hit something and almost fall in that forest over roots and fallen branches because of a strong wind. The tree's branches were broken. With each step, the potter felt angrier and angrier with his donkey. Yes, when I catch him, I will tie him up under the tree all night, he muttered to himself. Muttered means speak in a quiet voice. The potter muttered himself when he caught the donkey. He would tie the donkey up under the tree all night. When you listen these words, can you imagine the previous lesson? Can you recall the previous part of the lesson? So, which animal was tied up under the tree? Have you remembered? Yes, the tiger. The tiger was tied up under the tree. By whom? Let us see. Hours later, the porter reached the old woman's hut. The night time, while the heavy rain was falling, the old tiger went to the old woman's hut. Here, the porter also reached to the old woman's hut. There he saw an animal sleeping in front of the door. Which animal sleeping in front of the door? According to the previous lesson, the tiger was sleeping in front of the old woman's hut. But here the porter was in drunken stage, so he couldn't identify whether it was a tiger or it was a donkey. So what did he do? There he is. He shouted that he found his donkey near the old woman's hut. He thought that the tiger was his donkey. He couldn't identify the tiger was his donkey or whether it is tiger. There he is, the stupid animal. According to the porter, what is this animal? Donkey. But actually, which animal is that? That was the tiger. The drunken porter did not notice the difference between the donkey and a tiger. He couldn't identify the difference between the two animals. He kicked and beat the sleeping tiger. So, the tiger was beaten. By whom? The porter. But the tiger thought that it was a mysterious creature. Who is that mysterious creature? Leak. But actually, the tiger was beaten by the porter. The leak was not a mysterious creature. What was that leak? The leak is a hole to the hut of the old woman. So, through that leak, the heavy rainfall, falling the rain into the old woman's hut. That's why the woman terrified about that rain. And she spoke like that. The leak is more dangerous than the tiger in the forest. He then jumped onto the frightened animal's back. So, in the previous part we discussed a mysterious creature jumped onto the tiger. Who is that mysterious creature here? The porter is the mysterious creature. Rode, past form of ride. Rode it refers to the donkey. But actually, the porter was riding the tiger to his home and then tied it up with the iron chain. In his drunken stage, he tied the tiger to his tree in front of his house. Next morning, the villagers who passed the porter's house looked in amazement. Amazement means greatly surprised at the tiger tied to the tree. Yes, soon the news spread throughout the village that the porter had caught a tiger and tied it to a tree in his yard, in his courtyard. All the villagers praised his courage, his braveness. Why? Because he caught the ferocious animal, the cruel animal, the tiger, in front of his house, in front of his hut. So, all praised him for his braveness. They also thanked him because the tiger had eaten many of their goats and buffaloes. So, all villagers praised him for his braveness. They had tried to catch him for many years, but they had failed. So the villagers tried to catch the tiger because the tiger was eating their animals, goats and buffaloes, but they couldn't catch that animal. But finally, the potter caught the animal. Of course, the potter said that he had done nothing of the sort. Actually, the potter did not have any courage. Because of his drunken state, he could catch that animal. He thought that it was his donkey. He said that he had only brought his donkey home to the villagers. He did not understand how a donkey could change into a tiger. The potter could not understand how the donkey, an ordinary animal, became a cruel animal. When he saw the tiger, he fainted. The potter fainted. Fainted means he lost his consciousness. He became unconscious. That is his braveness, the actual braveness of the potter, that is. But the luck was favored the potter and made him a brave potter, the brave potter. Nobody, however means but, believed the potter's story. The villagers even praised him for being modest. The villagers still praising him because he is not behaving like a brave man. He is behaving like a timid person. But actually he is a timid. But they praised him as he is a modest. Modest means not proud. Soon the potter became famous. Immediately by this news, the news spread all over the village. So all the people in the village understood the potter was a brave potter. Everybody who met him called him the brave potter. From that day onwards, since that day onwards, he has been calling as a brave potter. The simple potter himself never understood why he was calling as the brave potter. And the days were going on like that. After he had caught the tiger, after he became the brave potter, a few years later, what happened? A war broke out. Broke out is a phrasal verb. Break out, past form is broke out. It means started. A war, a battle, a fight started between the potter's country and a much stronger neighbor country. To their stronger neighbor country. Then the king immediately gathered a large army, soldiers, a great number of soldiers the king collected. But he realized that it was not strong enough to save his country from defeat. It refers to the large army. The king realized the large army was not strong enough to fight with the other enemy country. He needed a hero to lead his army. So the king wanted a hero, a brave person to lead his army. Where could he find such a brave man? The king hurriedly called his ministers to take an advice from them. So the king called them as ministers together and asked their advice what to do. Who is that hero to lead his army? One of the ministers. Here, according to grammar, when one of the is used, the noun should be in plural form. Minister, not ministers. One of the ministers. Remember, children. One of the ministers remembered the story of the brave potter. Who remembered the story of the brave potter? One of the ministers of the king in that country. And what did they do? We will see. Yes, Your Majesty, the minister said, Your Majesty. It is used to address a king or a queen. The way of addressing a king or a queen. Here, the minister addressed the king and he said that he knew someone who could lead his army. Army means an organized military force equipped for fighting on land. The king immediately sent a messenger to the porter's house. See, an ordinary porter who makes pots. Okay, so he was called by the king. How luck was favored him. The king immediately sent a messenger to the porter's house. When the porter came to know that he had been made general of the army. General means an officer of a very high rank in the army. So he became frightened. Who became frightened? The porter. Actually, he is not brave, but the luck made him brave. The king had ordered him to go to the palace the next day. The king's palace. The king ordered him to go to the king's palace. Why did he order him? And what did he think about that? How could he? A poor, ignorant porter. What kind of man he was? A poor, ignorant. Ignorant means not having the knowledge of anything, something. What something? He doesn't have any knowledge to carry a sword or to ride a horse. See here, become the general of the army. He had never carried a sword, nor had he ever ridden a horse. Oh, I shall die because of that stupid donkey. Who said these words? The porter said himself. Because of that stupid donkey, today he was called to the king's palace. Groaned means make a long deep sound because of upset. Who got upset? The porter got upset. The porter said to his wife that he had only brought them trouble. He refers to the donkey. The donkey made them to be in the troubles, in the problems. The porter worried. The next day, he went with his wife to the capital, to the king's palace. The king was pleased to see him and ordered the porter to lead the army into battle the next day. The king felt very happy when he saw the porter, and he ordered him to lead his army in the battle. The enemy were not far from the gates of the city. A splendid means a beautiful or a wonderful house had been prepared for the porter and his wife to stay. The horse which would carry him into the battle was ready in the stable. Stable means where the horses are kept. So everything is ready, but porter is very frightened, getting afraid and worried. What happened? He wanted to kill himself because of his timidness. But in the opinion, in the sight of all the people, according to the king's opinion, the porter was very brave. Whether the luck again favored him or not, we will see in the next class. Thank you.